cheating in baseball, is it okay? Let's talk about that. Folks, welcome to the Baseball Brewhaha. Thanks for joining us again this week. We're going to dive into some philosophy today. I know, stick around, folks, but we're talking about cheating. Adam, when you hear cheating and baseball, what comes to mind for you?
I think about things that cross the lines of what's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Putting illegal substances on the ball, um, giving yourself an unfair advantage. I think about the Astros and their garbage can shenanigans.
Mm-hmm.
Those kinds of things come to
Mm-hmm.
mind.
Yeah. So I want to talk about this. So I've been reading this book, Baseball and Philosophy, and it kind of takes some philosopher approaches and it applies them to baseball. And so I was thinking about this one. I think this is a fun one. There's other ones for us to talk about, but I want to start here. So here's I'm gonna read and then let's talk about here. Okay, so here's something the writer's writing about cheating. And Rob Dibble says everybody cheats in baseball. And Cal Ripken, his response says, much to his credit, he responds as Socrates might have, not by offering judgments, but by asking the key philosophical question. What do you think the question is, Adam?
I think the question is, I don't know, what,
What is
how,
cheating?
yeah, how do you define
How
cheating?
do you
Yeah,
define it? What is cheating? How do you define
yeah,
cheating? Ripken's response suggests that we can't make headway. That is, we can't be confident about our judgment of particular cases till we just address the general issue. Um, and so, um, so there's this whole thing here of what is cheating? How do you define it? You talked about gaining an unfair advantage.
hmm
Now, in one sense, isn't isn't that sort of baseball? Is to figure out, that's sport in general. How do you gain an unfair advantage? So then you got to define, well, what's unfair, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
what so what do you want to respond to Ripken when he says what is cheating?
In most sports and in baseball, there there are some clear delineations in the rule book.
Yeah.
So there is that as a reference. With that said, not every possible scenario is in the rule book. So that's where it can get a little bit dicey in the cheating situation
Mm-hmm.
because it's not all in the rule book. And not everybody reads the rule book the same way also.
Yeah, totally.
And some may either coincidentally or incidentally read it in a way that supports an unfair advantage. And then there are others who will choose to read it in a way that creates or can create an unfair advantage.
Yeah, yeah. So, question, Adam. Did so we played a lot of baseball, played a lot of games growing up.
Yeah.
Did you ever cheat? It's confession time.
Did I ever cheat?
Did you ever cheat? Or
You know,
or just sort of taking again here this whole thing of what is cheating. Did you ever do anything that was like a unfair advantage, or you remember us as a team, anything like that that you can remember?
Well, I mean, the only thing that really comes to mind that could potentially, like, as I'm thinking about the Houston Astros, for example, there was a
Hmm.
team that we played against. It was easy to pick up their signs because
Hmm.
the coach would relay pitch signs to the catcher, and the way he relayed them, it was very easy to pick up and then relay to the batter. But I don't see that as
Hmm.
cheating. I see
No.
that as
Hmm.
gamesmanship.
Hmm.
If you're, but if you're using advanced technology to try and do that, I think that's where that crosses the line. But at what
Hmm.
point is it advanced versus not, or whatever? I mean, like, is a guy in center field with the binoculars?
Hmm.
I'm not sure I would call that advanced technology, but I would also maybe
Hmm.
think that that's outside the bounds as well.
Right. Yeah, with binoculars, like waving, sticking a flag in the air or something, some
Yeah.
very rudimentary thing, but still nonetheless not within sort of, I mean, because I, I feel like with baseball, it's interesting because there's, it's kind of like whatever you can pick up on the field in real time is just fair game.
Yeah.
It's like, you're not sitting over there. You don't have like, their rule, their pitch book or whatever like that you're working off of. You just pick it up. And I know exactly what you're talking about. There was one team that we played. Um, I in particular, I played third base. I watched their third base coach. I I picked up a squeeze bunt at least two different times. Um, One of them I think I shared the story of on this show. I almost got sent to the hospital because the batter missed the squeeze sign. I was 20 feet away when he swung a full swing and hit it right to me. So, fortunately, I fielded it, and I we didn't get an out, but there was much confusion, and we still won the game anyway. But yeah, so there's that kind of thing. Um, I was trying to think of another time when, like, I feel like there just wasn't that much that we did. We didn't, our coach, Stu, he was all about playing the game the right way. So we were never, I don't even know. Did we ever even do like hidden ball trick or like any of that kind of stuff? Like any sort of, I don't consider
I
that
don't,
stuff necessarily cheating, but
yeah, right.
I don't feel like we ever did like even that
Not
kind of
really. I
stuff.
mean, there might have been little minor
Hmm.
attempts at deception or like in that type of way, like
Hmm.
deke a runner, or I don't know,
Yeah.
try and force a I mean, all that's like within
Hmm.
the bounds of the game, right? You're running the bases, you try to force a throw, try to force a bad throw to gain an extra base, that kind of stuff. But that's all just part of playing the game
Yeah.
and running the bases and all that. So,
Hmm.
um, but cheating, no, I wouldn't say that. And for me too, like, it was important for me to play the game the right way.
Hmm.
Like, winning at all costs is not a part of my approach to playing the game,
Yeah.
because it wouldn't have felt to me like I wouldn't have felt good about that.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And it's like, I'm coaching. So I got a new hat, bro. New swag.
Yeah.
Do you know what is that? Do you know
Okay.
the logo?
That it looks like some sort of billy goat.
It's not a billy goat. We are our team is the Yard Goats, which is
The
named
yard
after
goats.
there's a double a Rockies double A team, the Hartford Yard Goats. So
Okay.
here we are, we're the Yard Goats. But yeah, so I'm coaching and same thing. We're not out there trying to like like deceive anybody or bend the rules. It's like we're trying to abide by the rules and make the game fun. And um, one of the things that I don't know, it's just every league has their own rules, but one of the things that I appreciate is that like I remember this happening a couple years ago. I was coaching my daughter, and this wasn't cheating. It was within the rules, but it was very frustrating. There was one team that was had played together longer, had just they weren't really a rec team. They probably shouldn't have been a rec team, or at least not in our league. And so we got kids figuring out how to play pitcher and catcher, and their coach would like tell their runner on third base like, okay, sneak down the line, and then like when the catcher throws it back, like run home. And it was like
Hmm.
it's not cheating, it's
Yeah.
not illegal, but then it's like, is that within the I don't know, sort of like the spirit of the game, I guess.
Hmm.
I mean, how would
Yeah.
you how would you something like that? Um, how would you evaluate that, or how would you think about that type of a situation?
The context would be important. I've
Mhm,
encountered similar things as a basketball coach, and typically leagues have rules that guide that sort of thing as well.
mhm,
Um, and when you're in a rec league situation, that's
mhm,
that's tough because like players want to win the game. There's a bit of like teaching players the strategy and
mhm,
how to like, you know, how to see the game in a way that helps them later on. And so I can see
mhm,
that. And, for your situation. But if you're in a situation where that's happening and the other team's up by a significant margin, that feels not good.
yeah,
Um,
which
shouldn't be happening. Not that it's cheating, but it's
mhm,
really not the purpose of why they're there. And even,
yeah,
there's like an unwritten code, even in Major League Baseball, like you don't steal when you're up a certain amount and that kind of thing. So there's
mhm,
like an understanding within the game that you have to learn that part of the game too.
yeah. Yeah, which is interesting because we've had scenarios in the last couple of years within Major League Baseball where players have done things that are kind of like against the unwritten rules, if you will. And some of it you're like, what's a big deal? And I don't know. There's mix because it's like, especially at the Major League level, like these guys' stats determine their paycheck,
Yeah.
and so it's a lot different, like um even in but like in rec baseball, like you said, I mean, we're there to learn the game, and we're playing, we want to win the game, but that's not the ultimate objective of
Hmm.
what you're doing. And um so this one's the league we're in is really interesting because in order to score a run, you either have to score by a walk or score by a hit. So in the other league that we played in, you a pass ball you could score. And so I mean, 50%
Okay.
of 50% of our teams, of every team's runs were scored or more were scored on pass balls because kids are not trained in how to catch or pitch. They're
Yeah.
figuring it out. So in one sense, I get it because you want the game to move along and score some runs and that kind of thing. But I mean, we'll see how it goes, but I kind of like this approach of like you got, I mean, there's a lot of things put in place there where it's like you're really designing it to be much more like real gameplay as much
Hmm.
as you can without, because it would literally be, you get a runner on second, steal third, home on a pass ball. It's like,
Yeah.
I mean, okay, but I mean, is that real? No, I mean, and that's just that. I mean, that's just the rules. It's just what it is. So
Yeah.
anyway, um, so anyway, I was trying to remember if we ever like there was an opponent that cheated or crossed the line. The one thing I don't know while you're having a ponder. The one thing I is it cheating? I don't know that it's cheating, but pitching. Did you pitched in Roselia? I'm sure you did in high school.
Hmm. Yeah.
I pitched a game in Roselia, and the pitcher, I don't remember which guy it was, but he would dig this massive hole right in front of the rubber, and then a massive hole where he would land. So it fit him exceedingly well, not me, not I.
Hmm.
I was smaller. I mean, that guy was a big, I'm not that small, but he was a big guy. Um, his stride was longer. I couldn't pitch. I would literally like fold my ankle into that hole every time. So I had to like pause the game and have him come fix the mound because I couldn't throw on the mound. And so like I just think about something like that where it's like clearly they had no interest in making the mound level,
Hmm.
for, the same
Yeah.
for each player. But, so anyway, that's the first thing that popped in my mind.
I don't remember anything like that really standing out in a way that felt like something
Yeah.
happened that really was egregious. There might
Hmm.
have been something small that a team tried, but
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I think I think we had I think I recall one of our pitchers trying to do a little bit of Vaseline or something.
Really? I
I
don't
don't
remember that.
I don't think it did anything really.
Hmm.
And I'm sure that we had opponents who tried different stuff like that, but nothing that
Hmm.
I felt like impacted the game significantly.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think there's a certain element, or part of it where it's like, um, talent, at the high school level, especially like, or in younger leagues, when you're just better, like it doesn't matter. Like, I mean, we played some tough teams, and we never won the state championship. Played some good games, but a lot of our wins were by fairly wide margins. When you're beating a team by 10, 12, 15, 20, 42 runs, like what cheat in baseball is going to overcome a 42 run deficit?
Yeah. Not gonna do it.
Not gonna do it. So no spitball, no, it's like, I mean, unless you have something that like eliminates any human that tries to step on home plate,
Yeah.
that's about it. So, but so anyway, I mean, it's interesting because we didn't encounter it that much. And it makes me curious. You move up, and I have to imagine it has to do with competitiveness, the livelihood, paycheck, all that kind of stuff. But where does that cheating start to come in? Is it college? Maybe. professional. When you think about the steroids era, sticky stuff. Um, it's still interesting to me, and I'm not a major league pitcher. I don't throw. I never threw Major League Baseball. It's still interesting to me that like we could throw a baseball with control, no problems, and a major league pitcher is struggling to like you know what I mean? Like this is sort of a gripe I have with sort of the whole sticky stuff and oh we need it in order to protect batters because it's the ball comes out of our hand. I like again, I'm not a major league pitcher. I never pitched in the major leagues, but I'm struggling with that one a little bit
Yeah.
here. I mean, I mean when that was all going on, did you have thoughts of similar? You have sympathy for them?
Um, I think I thought of it more in the sense of like, well, let's just go back to what is the sort of like understanding or the rule here.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Well,
because
they have.
it's normal to want to have a good grip on the ball
Mm-hmm.
for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and also they shouldn't be allowed to like do that in a way that
Mm-hmm.
creates a competitive disadvantage. And there are lines there, you know. I mean, I remember as a pitcher, there are some balls or some game situations where the ball was harder to grip in a particular way. And so I
Mm-hmm.
might try to use a little bit of dirt or rub it a certain way to try and increase my grip, especially on like a dry, cold, windy day. That type of day would be particularly difficult.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there are a lot of factors and like you have get some areas, Atlanta, high humidity, you just have all kinds of different weather situations that are going on. So yeah, the same ball could be a really nice feel in Arizona and a terrible feel in Atlanta because of the weather,
Yeah.
that kind of thing, how much you
Mm-hmm.
sweat and all that kind of stuff. So that part I get in one sense. But so anyway, talk about cheating. Um, what I'd like to know, folks watching the show, did you ever cheat? Or what was the biggest sort of advantage that you remember gaining just by watching something like we were talking about picking up on the squeeze sign from this team in our league? Anything like that? Love to hear your stories. Adam, any parting words?
Don't cheat, folks.
Don't cheat. Doesn't feel good on the inside. I mean, it's one of those things where you want to win and you think it's going to feel
Mm-hmm.
good. You know, I don't.
It's not worth it. It's not worth it. I
Yeah.
mean, I understand the pro baseball temptation, the
Mm-hmm.
millions of dollars, the livelihood,
Mm-hmm.
but for most of us out there playing,
Mm-hmm.
senior league baseball, come on, folks,
Yeah.
you know,
Or your kids, travel team or whatever it is. It's like
yeah.
just think about the message that you sent. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
don't do it. I would say just learn the game well.
Mm-hmm.
Fundamentals, play well, you know, figure that stuff out, and you'll be fine. You don't have to worry about cheating, either you or them. So
Yeah.
there we go.
Yeah.
Well, folks, thanks for hanging with us again. See you next time.